All right, guys, I am working on a Buick. I don't know if it's a Lucerne or whatever the other model is. Looks like you got service ABS and service traction control. So customer states that the the brake pedal, sometimes it pulsates, but as soon as she turns the car on, the ABS and traction control lights come on. So we will do a quick scan on it. Let's see what this thing is. 07 Buick Allure, that's what it was, Allure. And we'll do a code scan, pre-scan. We haven't fixed anything yet. Let's see. Just what I thought. We got a wheel speed sensor malfunction. Okay, so I will jump out of this after it's done scanning. Just going to double check to make sure there isn't anything else going on in the electrical system. But we most likely have a bad tone ring on the left front wheel bearing. It's a pretty common thing on these. So I'll just jump out of here. Let's go down to our anti-lock brakes. Get the data up here of our wheel speed signals. ABS. There we go. We got our wheel speed signals there. So fire this thing up. Oh, she almost stalled there. Okay. Get my seatbelts on. See if we can see what's going on. Yeah, as you can see, we've got absolutely no signal on the left front wheel speed. So I'm not even going to take this thing for a drive because obviously it's dead. Now, it could be bad wiring, it could be a bad sensor. Oh, looks like we've got a bit of a glitch, so it looks like the sensor's somewhat reading. Probably, like I say, I bet you most of the magnet on the back of the bearing is gone. I don't think these are on a tone ring. So what I'm going to do is just take a look. Yeah, the brake pedal's pulsing. I'm going to take a look and just double check the wheel speed sensor, but I'm sure it needs a wheel bearing. Okay, so the wiring harness that runs on the left front corner that had a fault code in it was actually broken. Both of the wires were broken, and yeah, somebody had done a repair on this before. Looks like a decent repair actually, but I think the reason that these broke is just where the wiring harness sits. So with the control arm, the wiring harness actually runs along the control arm and then up into the back of the wheel bearing. And every time you would turn the steering wheel left and right and the wheels would move, it flexes the harness. So sort of a poor design, because as you can see, after a while the wires ended up just breaking apart. They don't feel hard, like they feel decent. They were a smaller gauge wire that was originally on it that I could see once I cut back into the harness. But this was the issue. Just a broken wire that barely connected. That's why we got a bit of a glitch in the signal, but for the most part it was flatlined. And this is the connector. You can see we got some corrosion in there. That's no good, but ended up cleaning up the connector on the wheel bearing itself. That is the wheel speed sensor, and luckily there was barely any corrosion on that. I was able to clean those pins up nice. I bought a new connector, run you about $50 Canadian. Could probably find one cheaper online, but that was just from our local parts store. And then, yeah, cut out this wire, rewired it, and taped it all back up and put it in. It was good to go. But yeah, as you've seen just a minute ago, that other side it had part of the harness was rubbed through on the actual axle. The clip that holds the connector in place had unclipped and the wiring harness had fallen onto the axle. So customer doesn't have a whole lot of money. They were just going to hold off on even doing the wiring repair. So I said, well, I can just attempt to try to do a Band-Aid fix. And yeah, we're going to get it on the bench and see how we can fix it up.
So this is the right front wheel bearing, and you can see where the axle is actually rubbed through. So what I'm going to do is disconnect and depin this connector, take this sleeve off to access the wires, and put a heat shrink over that wire. I'll get everything cleaned up. It looks like maybe 1 or 2 strands of wire have broke, but it's still reading fine. So before this wire harness gets compromised and have to put a wheel bearing in it, I'm going to go ahead and fix this. I know some people would probably just replace it, but I'm going to try to fix it for the customer. All right, guys, so we got the repair done. There's that broken wiring harness that was on the left front corner on the control arm. My theory behind it, it's just in a bad spot, so every time you turn left and right, it works that wiring harness back and forth and stresses it out. So that's why the brake was in both in the same spot in the harness. You know, it's just been folding that wiring harness back and forth. Car's running now. After starting it, the light has gone out. I did, as you know, put a new pigtail on the left front corner. So let's go ahead, try to graph this and see what the signal looks like now. Okay, we'll start going. And we have good signal. They all look the same. Wonderful. We'll make some turns. Sorry for the glare, guys. It's tricky to drive and capture when you're by yourself. Anyhow, okay, so yeah, that was a fix. I'm surprised it actually wasn't the wheel bearing. And yeah, we did take out the right side wheel bearing. It wasn't giving us an issue yet, but it was going to. So did a preventative fix there, took the bearing out, pulled the shielding off of the harness, fixed the harness, put some heat shrink over it, and then fixed up that shielding. So I'd say that's a good fix. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe.